Dr. Jamil Ahmad Khan Sahab, coming to you, as far as a report by the Palestinian Ministry of Awqaf and Religious Affairs, in the year 2024, 815 mosques have been destroyed and partially damaged. Another 151 mosques have been partially destroyed. The fact is also that when it comes to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, there have been various incursions by the Israeli settlers who are being given the protection of the Israeli army, who go and then do their prayers there, which is also something that is against the agreement that had been made between the two sides. How do you see the religious angle to all of this? Dr. Jamil, I think you must have muted. If you could just push on the unmute, we could maybe hear you, because we can't.
Yeah, what I was saying was that Israel with all the influence of resolutions. That is one. Second, so far as the agreement between the two parties are concerned, that obviously would not be respected by the Israelis. Rather, Israelis are facilitating, the government is facilitating all these sectors to further expand. And that's one of the purposes of Gaza, this ethnic cleansing. And that's what they did in 1948, where they had really raised about 56,000 houses at that time, and about more than 50 villages and towns were totally destroyed. All those places now are occupied by the settlers. And that's what they did in 1967, was they occupied land and they further extended their settlement. That's what they did in Golan Heights, as our other panelist was also mentioning. And Golan Heights, again, there is a Security Council resolution that this occupied territory has to be vacated. But instead of vacating that, instead of going away from this occupied territory, they are further expanding towards Syria, about 134 square kilometers. They have had this incursion now. And Golan Heights, besides in violation of the Security Council resolution, Golan Heights has been accepted bilaterally by the previous Trump government. So that means now they recognize, the United States recognize Golan Heights against the United Nations Security Council resolution that is a sovereign territory of Israel. Means the United States during Trump's regime had legitimized this occupation, means all the other occupation with Israel. Coming back on the point of Gaza, they have really massacred, as we were discussing, more than 500 medical staff so far, including doctors, nurses, and all medical staff, medical workers. They've been killed there, including the superintendent of the hospital, as you're listening what they are doing with him. And NGOs, many NGOs, buildings have been destroyed, more than 60,000 buildings destroyed, about 85% of the buildings are unlivable now. Infrastructure, they are destroyed to the extent that it would take quite several years to really restore that and rehabilitate that. So all those restrictions have taken place in the eyes of the world community. It has been taking place right in the neighborhood of the OIC countries, particularly the neighboring countries, very strong members of Arab League and the OIC. It has been happening in front of all the international powers, and we have seen the streets fully flooded, floods of people, oceans of people coming out in favor of Palestinian, and again.
All right, Dr. Saab, I'll come back to you because the voice is a bit shaky, maybe because of a faulty internet connection. Dr. Jamil, if you can hear us, what, in your point of view, will be the fate of UNRWA, the main agency that has now been banned by the Knesset to work from the end of this month in 2025? What happens to basic humanitarian aid in Gaza, the little that is arriving that way?
I think the network problem from a current but see if I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me, Rao?
I think again, yes. Now I can hear you. Now I can
Okay.
hear you,
So I was just asking about
Mr. Bhatt.
UNRWA.
Now I can hear you.
I was asking about UNRWA. What is, in your point of view, its fate, seeing that the main humanitarian aid was coming through this agency, and now that the Israelis have banned it, starting from January, what happens to the people and the humanitarian aid that arrives there?
So, one has to really look into the background of it. In fact, Israel wants to starve the people. So whatever number of people, about 46,000, they have already killed. Children, women, elderly people, all included. And now they've started doing it about last 7, 8 months to stop them to that. They just limited, they were able to release limited trucks for the aid. But now UNRWA, that is the only organization which was able to really keep them alive. And now the Israel, it appears that to avoid, and after using about 85,000 tons of the explosive and bombs there on Gaza, now they want to really strike them by doing that. UNRWA, now that is totally against all the tenets of international law. Not only UNRWA, they are trying to ban it, and which they cannot because there are member countries, 192 more member countries, and if they are banning it, they are violating the very condition of the membership of United Nations. That's one. But then, as I said, that they don't have any respect for the international law, so they are not doing that because there is a background to that. In fact, I've been mentioning it that Israel wants to achieve the same, and this was the president-elect also says that Israel should quickly finish their job before the ceasefire is announced. So the job finishing is that do the ethnic cleansing and then establish your own administration. The Israel is going to establish its own administration, perhaps totally occupied, and that's what the aim is, and that's why they want all the prisoners to be released, and that's what the president-elect also wants, that all the prisoners should be released. So these indicators are self-explanatory that it's taking Israel towards its main aim, and that is the aim which was carved out or which was the targets and aim which was they had set forth in 1897 once the Zionism was established in Switzerland in their first meeting, and ever since they are moving and they are going towards Greater Israel. And that has been,
Dr. Saab, Dr. Saab,
been
Dr.
mentioned
Saab, Dr. Saab, I'd like to understand also one thing. We've talked about the massacres, we've talked about the brutalities, but in this whole midst have also been certain decisions that were taken by international agencies, organizations, such as the ICC and the ICJ. Now the Israeli newspaper Haaretz says that the Israeli government is participating or to assist Israeli soldiers who might face arrest who are participating in war crimes in Gaza when they travel abroad. And this happens because there was one case as far as Brazil is concerned, and the soldier had to run away from the area. Once he got to know that he might be arrested. There are complaints that have been filed in South Africa, Sri Lanka, Belgium, France and Brazil against Israeli soldiers. Does that mean, in your point of view, that the rulings of ICJ and ICC, although they have not really had an effect on the Israeli leadership, have had some kind of effect on Israeli soldiers or the whole brutalities of those soldiers who might be going to other countries? So whenever the Israeli leadership or these soldiers go to or visit other countries, they might be facing arrest?
Well, I've seen that happening in East Timor. I've seen that happening, the arrest warrants, and I've seen that happening in Kosovo. And then the statutes of ICC is very clear. The Article 8 of the statute is very clear. It is a war crime, basically, and anyone who is involved in war crime can be arrested and prosecuted. And once the investigation in progress, the investigation can open the name of anyone who participated in the Gaza war. And since the Gaza war by itself, they have declared that Israel has been committing war crimes. So all participants of that operation, they automatically come in the ambit of that ICC statute. And ICC statute is very clear. Any member country of the United States. They have the incumbent responsibility. They have their responsibility to arrest people involved in any war crime and declared as such by the ICC. So I would not be surprised when it starts happening. So far as the leadership is concerned, because they are moving in protection and member countries, although they have the capacity to intercept it in the air, in their airspace, but they have not done so because of the pressure of the United States, and because they feel that there would be some repercussions for it, like the OIC, like the Arab League. They have not been able to take any unilateral action in terms of imposing sanctions of depriving Israel from using their airspace, or for that matter, banning restriction on their products. So likewise, the other countries, but the Western countries, they have their pressure of their constitution, pressure of their law, and their public. So some of these soldiers, once they visit the countries abroad, and the member countries, some of the member countries, they are quite vocal about it, and I would not be surprised if they start getting arrested. Not only that, but the United Nations and the countries, because the way the geopolitical landscape would change ultimately, and subsequently the way things are moving from global west to global east, one day, because the war crime, commitment of war crime, it never dies down. Sooner or later, people have to be brought to the book and have to be brought in the ambit of
this is, I mean, I hope it's sooner than later, Dr. Jamil, because the way things are going on, and the way, there is no proper action that is being taken against all these brutalities, apart from ICC and ICJ, even that is not implementable in letter and spirit, because there are many countries who do not, have the agreements with the ICC or the ICJ. Nevertheless, let's wish and hope that all the culprits are brought to book sooner than later. Thank you very much, Jamil Ahmed Khan, to have joined us.